Welcome to Just Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV, where we bring you the stories being shared, liked and tweeted by you and I. I am Wale Fakileb. Our top story this week. Now, with the increasing number of coronavirus cases recorded in some countries in Europe, the World Health Organization has declared the continent as the new epicenter of the pandemic, while some countries like Italy have imposed a lockdown on some cities. Others have placed restrictions on affected areas. With a few active cases in Nigeria, what measures are in place to avoid a similar spread, and how are Nigerians in affected countries coping with the lockdown? Ajoke Ulodse finds out.
About 90 days after it first surfaced in a market in Wuhan, China, coronavirus has maintained its #1 spot, making global headlines. Governments around the world are still in the race against time to stop the pandemic. With close to 200,000 cases globally and over 7,000 deaths, China, Italy, Iran, Spain and South Korea have remained the worst hit. What began as a perceived African immunity has now seen Egypt, South Africa, Algeria, Morocco and Senegal dominating the list on the continent. While the world continues to struggle to keep the virus droplets contained, Nigeria succeeded in reducing its number of active cases to 1. But now, the country is up against 7 active cases.
So at the moment, we still have the 1 index case in care. He's doing well, but he's yet to test negative. And like you know, our protocols say you have to be negative on 2 occasions 48 hours apart. Luckily, his contact that did become positive has already cleared the virus, and we've discharged him just over this weekend. So in terms of that specific incident, we're looking is not too bad, but we're continuing preparedness across the country. I am definitely anxious about that scenario. You know, this is a new virus. We're lucky with this individual because, you know, he wasn't symptomatic when he came in. So he was detected because an astute physician saw him, made the connection between his symptoms and his travel, and called us, and the system took effect. We're not sure everyone would do that. We're not even sure that the individual would go to a doctor, because many people would take Panadol and wait it out.
Self-medication.
Yes. So really, government can't do everything. We need the entire society to work with us. We are really anxious about having large number of cases in Nigeria.
The federal government has issued a travel ban on 13 countries, but our citizens spread across the globe are caught in the midst of this invisible war.
So look, this morning I got some test results back for coronavirus and it came back positive.
With celebrities testing positive to the virus and countries shutting their doors against their neighbors, there are at least 100 million people in Europe on lockdown. Italy is the second most affected country. Its once bubbly streets are now empty, and Blessing is forced to stay home.
Just in the apartment for 24 hours, and you are even scared to go outside. That is the terrible part. Like, you are scared of going outside. Like, you don't know who you're going to meet on the road. Although it's not a permanent or a total lockdown, I would say, because we can go out to get some grocery, like you can go to the grocery store to do shopping. But the thing is, you have to be looking over your shoulder, like, oh, this person that is standing close to me, I hope he's not infected. I hope he's not going to touch me. So psychologically, I don't know how long we can keep this up, but we are just hopeful that things are going to change. That is just it. Things are going. It's not going to be like this forever.
Meanwhile, the United Kingdom, the 10th most affected country in the world, has not issued a lockdown, but avoiding non-essential contact bears heavily on most people.
The street of London is fast becoming the shadow of itself. A lot of people have decided to work from home and probably self-isolate, just as the government has advised that if you have any symptoms or any member of your family, you should just self-isolate for at least 14 days. So I think that's taking its effect on the street, as many people are not out on the street, despite the fact that government has not shut down the schools, but the schools are using their discretion to change to online teaching, and then starting the summer break ahead of the usual time. And then apart from that, quite a number of students are a bit concerned, especially Nigerians in London. Nigerian students, they are thinking of starting their summer ahead of the time, like considering coming back to Nigeria. But they are also thinking, like, what if there's an outbreak in Nigeria as at the time they are getting back to Nigeria? Can they cope? Do they have better chances staying back or coming back to Nigeria for the holiday? They're in such a dilemma, and then we don't know what to expect in the next 2 weeks or in the next few weeks, but we just know that everything will be okay.
With increasing cases of the virus in Nigeria, will the travel ban be enough to contain the spread, or is there more to fear?
My biggest fear really is someone coming in with this virus, going somewhere with a very big country. So we think about sometimes Nigeria in terms of Lagos and Abuja, but people come in and can travel anywhere from Zamfara to Akwa Ibom, from Ilorin to any part of this country. And if they're ill and then they've just come in, they have this virus and they don't seek care, and then transmission starts. And then by the time we get to know about it, a few generations of cases, and then panic ensues, and people start responding. You can see what happened in Lagos over the weekend. Very often the panic is worse than the actual incident. So we're really working hard in building confidence in Nigeria.
With a struggling critical care sector, the need to contain the spread of this virus in Africa's most populous nation has become crucial and should be the collective responsibility of both the government and its citizens. Ajoke Hulowotse, Gist Nigeria.
All right, so what's your take on the measures to stop the spread of coronavirus globally? Do let us know on Twitter at Gist Nigeria TV.